I rolled into my driveway late, like I've been doing for the past 6 months. You know, the usual routine. But this time, something felt off. I glanced at the front of my house and bam! 3 cars parked there, and I knew them well. Ben, George, and Jack. Best buddies since forever. I've probably clocked more hours driving their cars than they have. So, I'm sitting there in my car, wondering why the trio is hanging out at my place, especially when my wife, Gloria, knows I'd be showing up late today. Something's fishy, right? I grab a beer from the fridge, thinking they've been here long enough for Gloria to play the hostess. With the courage of someone about to step into a weird situation, I make my way to the living room. And there they are, my wife sitting between Ben and Jack on the couch, and George lounging in a chair. They give me these nods like they've been expecting me. I grab a seat, trying to act normal. "What's up, guys? Having a party without me?" I throw in, hoping for a laugh. But the way they're whispering to each other makes me feel like I've stumbled into something way more serious. Well, this is going to be interesting. So, there I was, entering the living room, beer in hand, expecting a regular evening. But nope, life had other plans. My wife, Gloria, was sitting there surrounded by Ben, George, and Jack. Like, what's going on, right? Then, out of nowhere, Gloria drops a bomb. She's been keeping a secret, and it's not the "I forgot to pick up milk" kind. Nah, it's more like a brace yourself moment. She spills it. She's been having sex with Ben, George, and Jack. Yeah, my so-called best friends. And get this, not just one at a time, but sometimes all 3 together. I kid you not. I'm standing there, frozen, beer halfway to my mouth, trying to process this madness. She explains the whole deal. They'd distract me, and she'd have her rendezvous. Like, how did I not catch on to this? My brain's doing somersaults, and I'm just sipping that damn beer thinking, is this real life? But wait, there's more. She's into it, you know? Like really into it. Wants to keep our marriage, have kids, the whole shebang. I'm torn between anger, confusion, and maybe a bit of shock. What a way to find out your marriage isn't what you thought it was, right? Alright, so there I am, sitting in the living room trying to wrap my head around what Gloria just spilled. She drops this bomb about getting cozy with Ben, George, and Jack. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not thrilled. So, I'm looking at her like, is this your way of saying we're done? I mean, who wouldn't think that, right? Your wife confesses to messing around with your 3 best buds. But Gloria, she throws me a curveball. Instead of asking for a divorce, she's all about wanting a family and growing old together. I'm sitting there with a beer thinking, what on earth did I just hear? She's going on about how we can still be a couple, work on having a kid, and basically, life goes on. Only hitch? These guys, my buddies, they're still in the picture. A few times a week, they're planning to drop by for a round of, you know. I'm sipping my beer, taking it all in. It's like, all right, this is my reality now. And to top it off, she throws in this idea that maybe I can join them sometimes. I'm thinking, did I step into a parallel universe or what? But hey, I decide to be the voice of reason, or at least try. I tell her I'm not thrilled about this whole situation. 3 friends and my wife cooking up some kind of arrangement? Not my dream scenario. Alright, so Gloria spills the beans about her escapades with Ben, George, and Jack. I'm sitting there processing it all, thinking, what the heck is going on in my life? Gloria drops the bomb that they've been having their own party without me. Apparently she's been dancing between the sheets with these guys, sometimes one at a time, sometimes all together. Yeah, you heard that right, a trio. Now here's the kicker, she wants to keep our marriage going. She's all like, hey, we can still have our cozy family dreams, pop out a few kids, grow old together, and, oh yeah, share the bed with my extracurricular activities. I'm standing there, holding my beer, wondering if I step it into a bizarre alternate reality. She's talking about keeping things as usual, just with a side dish of Ben, George, and Jack several times a week. My brain's doing somersaults, thinking, is this some kind of messed up compromise or just insanity? But I agree. What choice do I have? Divorce, become a loner, or accept this wild ride they're proposing? So, picture this. Regular married life, with occasional interruptions for some group intimacy. It's like negotiating a weird contract, only the stakes are the sanctity of our marriage. I'm left wondering, is this the new normal or have I entered the twilight zone of relationships? Only time will tell, I guess. Only time will tell. I sat there kinda stunned by the bombshell Gloria just dropped. So, after a moment of awkward silence, I figured I needed to lay down some ground rules or something. "All right," I said, taking a deep breath. "If this crazy thing is gonna happen, I got a couple of requests. Fair's fair, right?" Gloria nodded, and Ben, George, and Jack were all ears. "First off," I continued, "no using our bed. That's off limits. We got a guest room with a pretty big bed. Use that. I gotta sleep in peace without all this disrespect." Ben, being all magnanimous, agreed with a triumphant smile. "Sure thing, Dave. We usually do our thing on the living room floor anyway, but guest bedroom, it is if needed." I wasn't done. "Secondly, I want to know when you guys are planning to come over and do your thing. I ain't gonna be here playing witness to all that. I need to plan my escape, you know? So some heads up before you turn my place into a party zone." They nodded, like they were taking notes on some weird etiquette class. And that's it. Just a couple of things to keep things somewhat sane. Ben smiled, probably thinking he was being all generous in his victory. "All right, Dave, we can work with that. Not too many requests after all." So there it was. The terms were set. We were going to be the happily married couple with this bizarre schedule, and I had my conditions. Little did they know, I had a few tricks up my sleeve. So, there I was, standing in the midst of this crazy revelation. My mind was swirling, and I thought, all right, if they're spilling secrets, it's time for a bombshell of my own. I whipped out my phone and dialed up Mary, Ben's wife. "Hey Mary, it's me," I said casually, trying not to give away the turmoil inside. She chirped back, "Oh hey, what's up?" I leaned into it, dropping the bomb like a casual conversation starter. "So you guys planning a night out, huh? Ben mentioned a motel." Silence on the other end. I could almost hear her eyebrows raise. Yeah, how did you know?" I chuckled. "Well, you know, the grapevine. But here's the deal. Why settle for a motel when we can go all out?" Mary hesitated but took the bait. "What do you mean?" With a sly grin, I spilled the beans. "Presidential suite, baby. I'm thinking Evie and Joan should join us too. What do you think?" She laughed. "You're serious?" I kept it light. "Why not? Gloria mentioned she's coming off the pill, wants to get pregnant. Might as well celebrate, right?" Mary was into it. "That's devilishly genius. I'll call Evie and Joan, see you there." We exchanged goodbyes, and I couldn't help but smirk. Those three had no clue what was about to hit them. The tables were turning, and the night was about to get wild. Little did they know, they were in for a surprise of their own. So there I was, sitting in the living room, surrounded by Ben, George, and Jack. The air was thick with tension, and everyone's eyes were on me after dropping the bombshell about their wives. Ben, looking like he'd seen a ghost, managed to stammer out, "What the hell are you talking about?" But I could see the fear in his eyes. George and Jack weren't any different. They looked like deer caught in headlights. I took a moment to let the bombshell sink in, then with a smirk, I spilled the beans. "Yeah, your wives spilled the beans 6 months ago. They've been having a little party of their own, and guess what? I've been invited. You could have heard a pin drop." They were dumbfounded, probably regretting every life choice that led them to this moment. I leaned back, enjoying the shock on their faces. "You see, while you guys were busy having fun with Gloria, I was having a grand old time with your wives. Bet you never wondered why I was so beat every time I came home late, huh?" Their expressions went from shock to disbelief. George managed to mutter, "This can't be true." But, oh, it was. I continued, "Your wives came clean, spilled the beans about your little escapades. They decided I should join the party and know what kind of marriage I got into. So no use trying to play the victim here." They were left speechless, realizing their secret was out in the open. I enjoyed the moment, knowing their threats of destroying me were as empty as a broken piggy bank. I wrapped it up saying, "So, no divorce threats or revenge plans will work. The evidence is stacked against you. And by the way, let's agree on something else. No DNA tests for any future kiddos. You might not like what you find out." With that, I left them in their mess, heading out the door with a smirk and a sense of victory. Time to take care of my own affairs with 3 women who knew how to keep secrets. The door closed, and I chuckled at the chaos they were left to deal with. So, after dropping that bombshell on the whole situation, I just stood there taking in their shocked faces. I could practically hear the gears in their heads grinding to a halt. It was almost comical. I looked right at Gloria, then back at my so-called friends, Ben, George, and Jack. "You guys didn't know your wives were into each other, did you?" I asked, smirking a little. Turns out, they found out about the whole cheating debacle and decided to play their own game. Their wives spilled the beans to me 6 months ago. While these 3 were having their fun with Gloria, I was having a good time with their wives. Payback, right? Gloria, did you ever wonder why I seemed so exhausted when I got home? It wasn't from work, that's for sure. And now you 3 geniuses want to make threats and ruin each other's lives. Well, let me tell you, I'm not worried about Gloria divorcing me. She'd get next to nothing, and I'd just move in with your ex-wives who seem to have a soft spot for me. Life's funny, huh? Oh, by the way, let's agree not to do any DNA testing on those future kids, okay? Trust me, you might not like what you find out. Anyway, time to hit the road. I've got 3 lovely ladies waiting for me, and we've got a night to remember. With that, I walked out the door, leaving them there, mouths wide open. As I strolled away, I couldn't help but wonder if there'd be any fallout from this revelation. But hey, I wasn't too concerned. After all, Mary had already paid the big bucks to some nasty divorce lawyer. We'll be just fine. So, here's to my new life, free from the drama. If you're still listening, subscribe to the channel. And if you're under 18, do yourself a favor, skip the next story. Trust me on that.